Quick disclaimer, these videos are meant for educational purposes only. Anything said or shown in any of these videos are personal opinion and my perspective. Trading carries a high level of risk, so anything done is your responsibility. How's it going, guys? Welcome to the MentFX private mentorship. This is the remastered portion of the course, and in this portion of the course, we are going to rewire the way your subconscious, the way your brain, the way you in general as a person think about the markets, approaching the markets, learning about the markets, and actually progressing from an education perspective and then into profitability perspective in the markets. Now, this is a section that you actually will not see in almost any course. I don't think I've ever seen this before. So it's going to be very different and you might not be used to it, and it's definitely going to be a little bit of a grind from you. However, if you dedicate yourself, just like I have asked you, and I won't ask you again after these videos here, and you go through this, you are going to set a precedent for where you're basically going to be in the next 1, 2, 3, 5 years from now. Meaning, are you going to be someone that's actually doing this independently, that's actually trading, that's doing this full time? Or are you someone that's still going to be kind of lost in space, switching from strategy to strategy, from mentor to mentor, right? This is going to be the moment that sets that apart. And we're going to do that by subconsciously changing the way that you approach learning. Okay, so these parts are very, very important. I'm taking them out of 2 webinars that we had with the team, making up about 6 hours total, where we are going to dissect many of the issues most people have. We're going to dissect why those issues are dumb and shouldn't be part of your subconscious, should not even be part of the way that you think. And then we're going to break apart why most people never progress and why you, the person watching this right now, as you get into the deeper portions of the course, talking about the concepts, the tools, and how we use them, why you're going to be someone that's able to take that and start seeing tangible value reflected through it. So the clips you're about to see are from webinar 111 and webinar 100. You don't have to go and find them because they're going to be provided right here, right now. I'm going to upload them and you're going to see them there. So once again, this is a very warm welcome, showing you exactly what you're working towards, showing you my kind of psychology and approach to the market, showing you how you need to start subconsciously wiring yourself and getting you set up for actually progressing rather than stalling. So here we go. Please enjoy, and then we'll see you after this. First things first, if you're brand new, the kind of discussions, the kind of psychological pieces of help and value that people drop in these groups, and the members drop in Trade Talk and stuff like that, are beyond anything you'll ever pay for. You will not receive this kind of knowledge that goes back, for some people years, as you will just through some of the conversations that happen on a daily basis in the Trade Talk. This is why the community isn't just, or the mentorship isn't just a course that you're paying for. Okay, the course is just a side thing that you're going to go through and then you're going to understand fully. And then the real part is where you see traders interacting with traders every day, helping each other at every point of their actual journey, improving upon each other, sharing things that they're personally seeing in their trading, and then bringing actual value to each other. This is where the functionality of the group takes someone from just having the content and now having to go, okay, how do I figure this out, to basically taking the real shortcut of trading and gaining close to, years of experience within minutes in some cases. That happened this week. Now, I had some things that I saved here. Okay, yeah, so this is what I wanted to find. Like, we were just talking earlier this week, and it's sometimes small things, but it just reminds me. And I basically said, Dan said himself, I think cumulatively I've been on Forex less than an hour all week. And I kind of responded to him and I said, yeah, I probably spent 10 to 20 minutes maximum this week looking at FX pairs. Just so you guys know. This was the difference between me having a phenomenal week and someone else having a fully blown account. This is what a lot of people forget about the trading space. And it's that, once again, it takes one bad day of not following rules, one bad day of trading when you shouldn't trade, to lose a lot or close to everything you've ever made. Which means if you turned your $100,000 account into $16 million somehow, okay, it would still take one day for that $16 million to go to zero. It would take one day for that 100K to go to zero. Many people forget that this is the case because when they start thinking in large numbers, they forget that trading is the same thing regardless of the account size that you're really working with. Whether you have $100, $100,000, $1,000, $1 million, or $10 million that you're trading with, the result of poor rules, of poor trade management, of poor ability to decide when to trade, of poor management of your own emotions, or not management of emotions, but management of emotions in regards to entering trades. Those things will blow an account of any proportion. Just because you've made your way to the $1 million mark, now you've made 7 figures in your life, whoa, does not indicate that you've made it as a trader. It takes one day to lose all that. One day. It could take actually an hour to lose all of that. A lot of people forget this. They think that there's like this breaking point in trading where if they reach a certain goal or certain number, and feel free to talk about a little bit if this was you or if this is you, because I had this, I know a lot of other people think this, where, you know, there's this belief that if you A, pass a funded account, or B, just hit the 10K mark, or C, just hit the 100K mark, or D, just hit the $1 million mark. If you can just hit one of those marks, you're going to be in a safety boat. You're now going to be fine. No one's going to touch you, right? But what you're forgetting is that you're on a paddle boat, okay, without a paddle in the middle of the ocean with no water or food, okay? That's what you're forgetting. It's like, it doesn't matter the kind of, it doesn't matter the level of the goal that you have or how far or what goal you do reach. Because if you don't have the other things figured out initially, it's all going to shit. Which is why a lot of the space, as you all know, has always been colored by this idea of, hey, feel free to learn and earn. You're going to be fine. Well, you know, you guys, I've spoken about this a lot, but the reason that doesn't work out for anyone ever is because when you're learning and earning, you're already operating under the assumption that you can still make a little bit, or you can still just get to that first little number before you put in the work, right? You can get to that first funded account before you start learning. And as a result, that initial way of thinking is already stumping most traders for life. When you believe that learn and earn is going to be the way that you can, you know, make it in this market, you already guarantee failure. And then you can take that further and take it to the next step of, oh, once I get, you know, at least 100K, then I'm good. Once I get funded with at least a $1 million men funded account, I can then, you know, take a step back and be more risk averse. I can be more safe, whatever the fuck it might be. When you have this idea that you need to reach a threshold to be quote unquote safe, you forget that your safety is that pontoon boat without a paddle, without a motor in the middle of the ocean. This is what you have to remember. Okay, it doesn't matter if you have a $10 account or a $1 billion account. You're going to lose that account just as fast if you don't have a backed system that you have fully backed, not just from a technical perspective, but from an EV perspective, which is what we refer to as expected value. This is basic understanding of probabilities in math, aka over time returning more on your wins than you're returning on your losses, right? Whether that be through low win rate or high win rate. If you don't understand those things, you're not going to make it, right? Which is why this week, when we saw, so one thing we saw this week, one of the members that got muted, I don't want to bring up names. I mean, I'm sure a number of you know, but names are not necessary. One of the members that got muted went on a very deep ego trip, a lot of which came from the sadness, right? We could call it sadness. The sadness associated with not seeing gains as a result of the time he's put in. Now, I've spoken about this a lot as well. And what people forget, or what people don't mention, or whatever it might be, about the trading industry is that it is close to unlike any other industry in the world, in the sense that the time that you put in is not met with reward, almost ever. Unlike a normal job, unlike actually any job in the world where putting in a certain amount of time rewards you with some form of monetary or some other thing that you can like take in, this is not an industry that occurs in, right? This is why one of the main things I wanted to start this webinar with, a very important rule that I think a lot of you should write down, should have this as your motto, not just in this, but in anything, but especially in trading, okay? And I had a little Instagram thing about this, but I want to talk about it today. One of the largest mottos, one of the main things that you should know, whether you're new, intermediate, or extremely advanced, and you're just on that brink of profitability, but you don't know what's happening. Maybe you're so attached to a system, whatever it might be. Maybe you came from another mentorship and you're just like, I want to learn MentFX's way, but I spent so much time learning the Chalky Flippy or the Dicky Whippy that I just need to use that as well. What I need you to recognize is that your reward isn't based on the normal reward that you normally see. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to ask a lot of you, and I want to tell you that the only way you're going to be profitable or find success is by rewriting and overriding your reward system. Okay? Now here's how that's going to work. Just like the member that got muted, just like people that have ego trips and go off and go insane and blame others, whatever it might be, a lot of the issues associated with that is a poorly written reward system where they believe that because they spent X amount of time on this mentor or this content or that content or testing this system or testing that system, that they're supposed to see some form of profitability or some form of success out of that. Now, the first thing is you're forgetting that, again, this is a multi-million-dollar skill that once you have it, the only thing bridging you from being a multimillionaire or billionaire is only capital. This is what people don't understand. This is a skill set where the only time you're actually profitable is at the point where you fully understood a system from the fucking top down to the point where the only thing standing in front of you from being at X amount of riches, whatever that number might be, is just capital and not skill. A lot of people don't realize that. In many other disciplines, actually every other discipline in the world, skill will be met with reward, increased skill will be met with more reward, and continually, that can be a linear fashion, where increased skill will be met with increased reward. In the trading space, increased skill will not be met with increased reward until a certain threshold. And that threshold of skill is actually that of an expert level. Now, there are actually every industry, nearly 99.9% of industries, okay? Here is skill, reward, okay? And oftentimes, you're looking at something a little bit like this. And then at the upper echelons of that skill, if you get really proficient at it, you might see something like that. Okay, so this is around 99.9% of things in the world that you learn. This is what's happening. As you develop the skill, you can start receiving reward that can begin to move upwards as your skill becomes better and better and better until you might be so good at a very niche level that takes your reward to a very high part in trading, okay? I mean, in any other skill. Now, in trading, the problem is, here's skill. So let's assume this is 0. Reward, 0. Here's reward. Reward. Okay, here's the truth about trading. Okay, so the biggest issue for a lot of people, and a big hard reason that many people end up quitting, okay, is because they don't get to experience this, okay? And when we talk about reward, we're talking about monetary, okay? The reason many people quit in trading is because they don't get to experience this part in trading when they've been used to and programmed to receive it in every other thing they do. Because not only have they been programmed to see that, but this is how it works. Your parents likely are following this. Your friends are likely following a formula of this. The people you've seen that have performed at very high levels in many sports, in chess, like whatever it might be, have performed along these levels here. The people you look up to, the people that do podcasts, the people like Joe Rogan, stuff like that, if that's someone that you look up to as a big podcaster, any of these big people, even at a very low skill, could receive and basically monetize what they did. Okay, they could monetize it at any point, so they could still make money at any level starting out and then work their way up. If you're drop shipping, you're getting some form of reward for some of the skill you put in. This has never been the case with trading. You are going to be at 0. And hey guys, when you've heard the story of successful traders, have most of these successful traders actually had a story where they actually lost money in the beginning, then had to go back and then learn? Yes or no? Yeah. Almost every single successful trader told a story about them starting, losing a bunch of money, and then having to take a big step back, right? Everybody knew this. Everybody knows this, okay? So what's funny is this, yeah, it happened to me too. So this is not even true. So the truth about trading is actually not even what I drew here, okay? It's actually, in some cases, this. From a skill to a reward in monetary term perspective. Okay? This is why, and if you compare this to the average, or not average, but actually to any other skill. So here you have any skill in the world, and here you have trading. This is a huge reason as to why a lot of people never make it, quit down the line, quit because, it's just too much, quit because it's too hard, whatever it might be. Because they are not, and this is just the case, they are not going to see reward until a peaking point. This is why a lot of the industry is met with, or at least why I teach you to learn to basically learn the full system, learn to test it, learn the mathematical edge of it, learn to see it over and over again. Have hundreds to thousands of hours under your belt of seeing the same thing, because that's going to put you at that skill level that now you've made that transitionary point. Okay? Now this, by the way, can look at anywhere from 5 to like 30 years right here. When we're talking about like this skill set, right? This might look like short term, but like this is what it looks like. Most people will start out. This is like a 40 to 60K earning, and they can work their way up, maybe up to like 200, 300K a year. And they, at some upper echelons, can be at that 500K to 1 mil onwards, yearly salary kind of thing. Okay. So, when I show this here, you need to think about it as a longer term thing. Like this could be multiple decades. Now, that's not always going to be the case with trading. Of course not. But it's just something that a lot of people really need to understand, okay? Just starting out with, because this is how it works. And so even John Jay here said, especially sports. But even then, so this is why it's so important, even then sports are not comparable to the world of trading. Why? Because let's do it again. So here you have sports, okay? Here's sports. Here's your skill down here. Here's your reward in monetary terms. You can have skill that starts off with 0 reward, but then you get a scholarship to go to college. Okay. Right? Then you get on a team that could pay you through either some kind of promotion or some kind of mini, what's it called? When you get like sponsor or through sponsorship. Okay. So your skill might be improving, but you might be at like this reward, but you still made reward because you've been given a scholarship now to go to school. You're not playing for teams. People are doing stuff for you. Now out of school, you might be picked up by a team. You might start making some money there, picked up by another team, make some money there. Maybe you get picked up by an even bigger team, and now it peaks, okay? Again, even from a sports perspective, the skill and the development of that skill is still met with some form, in most cases, of monetary reward. In trading, on the other hand, no one's going to come to you. Mr. MentFX is not going to hit you up and go, hey, listen, you've been doing really well. Your skill is growing. Here's $600. Keep it up. The market is not going to look at you and say, hey, this guy has sacrificed a lot. He's sacrificed a lot. He's not been with his family. He's been putting in so much time into the market. He's been looking at me so long. He's been looking at me longer than he looks at his wife. He keeps looking at me. I'm the market. You know what? I feel bad for my good little man here that's putting in the work. You know what? The market today, I'm going to make it go in your direction so you can bank on the fact that your skill has been improved over time. There is not a single person in the world, there's not a single scholarship or trade or whatever the fuck, unless you're looking through the hedge fund space, or like you want to go work for a bank or something, there's not going to be a single point where your skill improvement is going to be met with monetary gain until the extreme end of your skill development. Your skill development needs to peak for you to actually get there, which is why when you train yourself to be, when you train your reward system to work upon a monetary reward system, you are guaranteeing failure from the start. Which is why a lot of traders will actually tell you time and time again that one of the most important factors of wanting to be a trader or succeeding as a trader is actually to be passionate and love the living fuck out of trading outside of a money perspective, outside of it completely. That's the number one, right? So you'll actually hear a lot of interviews and a lot of traders talk about the fact that they didn't care how much money they made. All they wanted was to get it. They just loved trading. They loved the idea of the markets. They loved showing up and doing this, right? It was the love for it that cultivated and bred the profit, not the actual the need for profit. And you guys might remember, or maybe you don't, so I'm going to give you a little synopsis. There was a little kerfuffle either this week or last week, right? Where some member was upset over their time spent, blah, 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 blah. And at some point, I asked my boy Dan. A lot of you know Dan. He's made some amazing content for the mentorship and has shared some really, really cool contextual clues. So very, very quickly, so yeah, like even somebody like joked about it. Cheat code for studying context. Literally look up Dan and look at the image, right? So Dan's someone that shared a lot of this, and Dan's actually found profitability. But what's funny is we were talking about something and I even messaged Dan, right? I added him and I said, hey, Dan, in the case that you still weren't profitable, I know for a fact, and correct me if I'm wrong, that if this took you another 5 years to get, to even start seeing a slower profitability, you would still be doing it. And his instantaneous answer was, fuck yes. Okay? And a big reason for that is because his reward system was not tied to this thing right here. His reward system was tied to what we're going to talk about right now, which is the first step of actually finding success, which is experience. All he cared about was living and breathing and eating this shit every single day. He didn't care. He just loved it. It's a passion to him. So instead of showing up for... I need to drink some Red Bull. Hold on. So instead of showing up every day and basically getting upset with himself over and over again when he didn't see this thing, he understood this thing to be true. And as a result, his reward system wasn't based on money. Now, a lot of you might ask, especially if you're new, what should my reward system be based on? And so we're going to talk about in a second, okay? We're going to talk about that in a second right now. But first things first, okay? We're going to talk about it in a second. Don't worry, guys. But first things first is to understand that the people that succeed in this market is A, people that technically don't need the money from trading. And I've spoken about this a lot, and you're going to hear this in trading. And if you're new, it's going to suck to hear this, but it's true. The market doesn't give a fuck how hard your life was. The market doesn't care how your family's doing. The market doesn't care if you're healthy, if you're sick, if your family's sick. The market doesn't care if you owe debt. The market doesn't care. I might care. People will care. I get hurt thinking about some of the places some people are in their own lives. But the market does not give a fuck. Okay, so the number one thing is the market doesn't care who you are, where you're coming from, or about your background. Okay, that's number one. It's just an important thing to remember. I forgot where I was going with this, so I'm just gonna go to the main point. Point being, the people that are focused on the monetary side of reward are going to consistently find themselves losing and or quit. One of the members that was muted this week, there was like, you guys can look up where it was. It was in the Trade Talks. A lot of beautiful value dropped there. Over 3 hours, this guy ranted. And despite help that he did receive, he kind of ignored all the help given to him and kind of kept going. And one of the main, you guys will notice this, one of the main things that he focused on, okay, was this right here, where he was extremely upset that the time that he was putting in and the system that he made wasn't showing profitability or consistency or money or reward. And he couldn't for the life of him understand what he should train his reward system on if he's not making money. Because that trader is likely in probably, I would say, around this point of his development curve. Probably around here, maybe even a little further back. Maybe here. Don't know. Not necessarily. So the odds of him, if he doesn't live, breathe, and eat this shit and is extremely passionate about trading as its own thing, the odds of that trader or that person getting from here to the point where he's fully okay with this kind of time and skill development is close to impossible if he's focused on the wrong thing. All right. So again, that begs the question. What should we rewrite and override our reward systems to looking at rather than the monetary or the instantaneous reward? Well, it's 2 words, okay? It's maximize experience, okay? That's it. Maximize experience. If you rewrite your entire reward system, if the only motto you have in your entire mind from a trading perspective over anything you might be passionate about, especially trading, is to maximize experience, you will become close to unstoppable. Because the second you begin to maximize experience, you don't care if that experience is negative, positive, losses, wins, no trades at all, many trades in 1 week, none, like, you don't care if it's any of those. Bad contexts, good context. You actually want all of those things to happen. Why? Because every single one of those things are going to build upon the experience that you have. And experience does what? What does experience do, guys? It fuels. Let me ask you what it fuels, guys. What does experience, based on our little diagram here, what does experience fuel? Yep. Experience fuels your skill. And this is true. We all know this is true for any industry in the world. If you develop experience anywhere, that's going to fuel the level of skill that you're able to perform at. And as a result, that's going to fuel your confidence. And that's going to, of course, end up in profitability. That's amazing stuff, okay? So if the first step that we take in our own learning and our own journey is to rewrite our entire reward systems to be that of experience and basically reward ourselves if we are receiving experience, then you make yourself close to unstoppable. Because now the losses that you're recording are not, oh my God, I'm not seeing monetary reward. The losses you're recording now are, holy shit, I just gained a shit ton of experience regarding what aspects of my system don't work in what kind of edge cases or in what kind of scenarios. Let me see how that applies in other cases. Now the wins you're experiencing aren't, oh my God, I finally made money. Oh my God, I'm finally making money. I finally crossed my threshold. The wins you're experiencing are, okay, now I know what wins look like from an experience standpoint. Let me now go and find ways where those wins don't work. Where can I take losses? Where can I stay out? Where can I learn more about these wins so I know that I can take these consistently down the line? Experience is fueling that skill. So if we start by rewiring ourselves, okay, to focus on maximizing our experience, then everything else that is this little Instagram quote special that's going to fix you as a trader because you read your one quote, all this shit disappears because you no longer have the little issues affecting you, right? Like, this is the way I want you guys to think about it is here's a balloon. Here's you, okay? Here's little old you. Here's little me back in the day, okay? Okay, here we are. And we're holding, you guys want to know what we're holding? We're holding a little balloon. Yay! A balloon, woo! And in this other hand, we have scissors, okay? Scissors, boom. Bing bong, here we go, scissors. And we're kind of like unhappy as fuck, okay? We're unhappy. Okay, boom, there we are. Now in the balloon, okay, it's attached to us. The balloon is attached to us. We have fear of missing out.